All right, topic for today is illegal immigration. Proposition is providing amnesty for illegal immigrants will not only benefit the United States, but not doing so will be devastating for the economy. Illegal immigrants provide a workforce that is needed. The U.S. needs cheap labor. In California alone, 90% of the farm workers in the San Joaquin Valley are immigrants. 70% of them are illegal immigrants. Now imagine you just force them out of the United States right now. Imagine how devastating it will be for the farming industry in California. The farming industry provides 25% of the farming industry in California. The farming industry in California feeds 25% of the global population. So 1 out of 4 people in the whole world eats agriculture that's grown in California. So you can imagine, when you're farming, it can't wait to be picked. You know, fruits and veggies got to be picked right there when they're ready to go. Either one day, if you wait one day, it all goes bad, and California loses billions of dollars. Alabama passed in 2011, they passed a bill called HB 53, which was called the harshest immigration law in the country. It attacked every aspect of the illegal alien's life. Landlords were banned from renting homes to undocumented immigrants. Schools had to check the legal status of people, and the police were required to suspect immigration violators. So it was really hard because in small, you picture Alabama, it's a big state, but the small little rural towns, the cops would have to pull over a person, which it would take 20 minutes to write them a ticket. Instead, they would have to arrest them, take them into the police station, and it would take hours to do the paperwork. They didn't have the capabilities of doing that. One time, a Mercedes executive was visiting from Germany. He got pulled over. He didn't have his documentation. They had to arrest him, and he was searching for a place to build a new factory. And they arrested him, and it was so embarrassing for the state of Alabama because of that bill. And then other states used that against Alabama that wanted a Mercedes factory, and they called it, what did they say? They were teasing Alabama. They called it, the slogan was, instead of show me state, it was the show me your paper state. That's what they called it. And another issue is high wages force American companies away. Just last week, Ford mentioned they're going to stop making small cars in the United States. They're going to make them in Mexico now, just because of the cheap labor. So it's like a hypocrisy. You know, they don't want illegal immigrants. They kick them out, but they want cheaper labor, so they go to Mexico, right? Another aspect is, if you give these illegal immigrants status, they got to pay taxes, right? So by them paying taxes, they're going to pay $2.1 billion a year in each state. That's how much each state is going to make. They got to pay personal income taxes, which they're not paying now. They pay the sales tax, but they don't pay personal income tax. So the United States is losing money by not taxing them. And then, another thing that happened with that law in HB 23 in Alabama is a bunch of companies went bankrupt because they couldn't find labor. So all the illegal immigrants that got scared, so they left Alabama. So then all the farmers didn't have any labor. So they posted a bunch of signs, hey, we need people to work here, we need people to work here. A bunch of people worked, they lasted 1 day. That's how hard work that was. Killing poultry, killing chickens, plucking fruit, and especially cleaning hotel rooms. You ever heard the joke of how disgusting a job is cleaning a hotel room after Valentine's Day? You can imagine. So anyway, yeah, so fiscally, giving illegal immigrants status will get money by, we need their labor, and we could tax them just like they have to pay taxes like everybody else. Thank you.
Got outlines for me?
Oh, yeah. Pass that down, please.
All right, Aaron, you identified the topic pretty clearly, but the proposition sounds like it's got two parts to it, and you need a single declarative statement for the proposition to be effective. There's some good statistical information early on that suggests how important this is, particularly to the agricultural industry, so I think that that justifies a discussion of the topic. The notion that enforcement of the laws on illegal immigration would result in a loss of the workers seems to make a lot of presuppositions that I think have to be explained a little bit more. Your comparison is basically to the Alabama law, which you say is particularly onerous and created all kinds of problems for them, and we'll talk about that one in just a second. But I do think that you've kind of created this hypothetical example that we either have people to work in the fields or we don't have people to work in the fields, and that seems like a big equivocation. I'm not exactly sure that that necessarily means that there has to be the kind of this open door policy or non-enforcement policy that you're talking about. So I think that there might be a little bit more that needs to be developed on that first point. There's no real layout of what the secondary points are going to be, so it feels like it's just kind of wandering around on the subject with random observations about particular things. For example, you go to the Alabama law 2 or 3 times in different places instead of kind of using it one time, or if it belongs in those different places, let's make sure that those places are clear and easy for us to follow, and then you can come back and tell us how the law applies there. It felt like that was like a default position. When in doubt, you'd come back and come up with another example from that particular case. So it needs a lot more structure there. Now, I think you've got some good examples with the rules in Alabama. I do think you need sources for all of this stuff, and I didn't really hear any of that being sourced. That's a little bit problematic. You're also giving us several hypotheticals about the potential problems. The one, you've got an example that you mentioned, for example, about the executive from Mercedes getting arrested, and there's even a joke it's apparently being made that says it's unlike Missouri, which is the show me state. Alabama is now the show me your papers state. I kind of like that joke. It sounds like it's funny, but I don't know that it proves much. I think you need to have a little bit more of the data on those particular points. You make references to Alabama job losses, for instance. At the end, you're talking about they don't have any maids to clean up, and the Valentine's Day joke, I'm not exactly sure fit with the theme that's going on there. Although I appreciated your attempting to make it a little bit more humorous. And disgusting at the same time. I think I need some data here. So if Alabama passed this law and we could see that they had a decline in economic activity the next year, there should be some data that suggests that. There should be some information that talks about the number of hotels that closed or they couldn't service their customers, or about the farms that lost money because they didn't have people to pick their crops, whatever it is that they didn't have any of those workers for doing. And so that's kind of what I'm waiting for here, and it seems like it's very generic information here, and a lot of it, it's anecdotal in nature, and I'm not getting a source for the anecdotes, and I'm not getting any follow-up with statistical information, so the argument isn't coming across as effectively as you need it to be. And because of that and the structure, I think that you're not as focused as a speaker as you could be as a result. So, you know, again, similar kind of thing to the last speaker. I think that you've got a potentially good argument here, and there's some information in it that is likely to be useful in the presentation of your argument, but it feels like it's still like in the early stages as opposed to something that says, okay, now I'm ready to, you know, punch it out or duke it out with somebody on this issue. It just feels like I've kind of examined the issue a little bit, and here's some information that I found, as opposed to.
I need a little more depth.
Well, you need some depth on it, and you also need to be forceful on those secondary claims. People, not to point fingers at anybody, but I've got a number of outlines where people aren't even putting claims on their outlines. They're writing informative speeches that are full of secondary points that are questions. And I'm going, we talked about this. A question is not an argument. Your answer to the question is where there might be an argument. And so you need to have a little bit more force on some of those points.
I'll get better on the next one for sure.
Everybody gets better on the next one, thank goodness. So don't worry about it.